Hello and welcome back to this last section where we'll talk about the AI services from AWS. First, we'll take a look at the machine learning service and see what it can be used for. We'll then check out an example of using Amazon recognition to turn pictures into words. We'll finish with turning those words into speech with Amazon Poly. In this first video, we will talk about making computers smart with the machine learning. AWS Machine Learning Service can help you predict answers to questions based on the data that you upload. It can be very useful when you would like to have your question answered but cannot clearly define rules which guide the answer, or your dataset is simply too large to be processed with the conventional code. The Amazon Machine Learning Console can be a bit intimidating when you start to use it for the first time, especially if you're not familiar with the machine learning concept. But luckily, it provides a lot of explanations and an example guide that can walk you through uploading example data, creating an example model, and creating its evaluation. In essence, whenever you want to use machine learning, first of all, you need your data. You need a set of data with the question attributes and the answer that you want to receive. Once you upload your data, you create a model. A model analyzes your data and can generate the predictions based on your queries. Once your model is ready, you can use it multiple times to generate predictions for different input to your question. When using Machine Learning Console for the first time, AWS provides an example dataset, which contains random information about banking users, things like their age, their job, their marital status, and so on. This dataset can be used to answer a question whether that person will respond positively or negatively to a new marketing campaign. It simply contains a column which contains the information whether that person responded okay or not to the previous marketing campaign. To start using machine learning, first you need to create your data source, so input your data. That can be a CSV file that you uploaded to S3 or data that you already store in your Redshift cluster. To create a new data source, you simply need to provide a location to your file in an S3 bucket. It would be ideal if in the same bucket, under the same name but with .schema at the end, you had a file which defines the schema of your files. So defines every column that it has and what type of values AWS should expect to find in those fields. If you don't have a schema, machine learning can predict it for you. After you provide the source, you just have to choose a name. AWS will verify that it can access your data and that it found the schema in this case. From there, it will show you the schema that it found. If you don't have a schema, it will show you the schema that it thinks may be appropriate for the data that you have in your bucket. You can see the name of every column, its type, and example values. If any of those are wrong, you can change the data type for any column to a different thing. From there, you have to choose a target. A target is a field which value you want to predict. Every data source in Amazon Machine Learning can only predict the value of a single field. Let's say that for our users, you would like to predict their age. From there, you can review your settings and create your data source. This process takes a while, so I have already pre-created two data sources from the same dataset. One is based on the yes or no answer from people based on the previous marketing campaign. The other one is based on their job. For every data source, you need a model. The model is what you will actually use to create the prediction. Whenever you create a model, Amazon Machine Learning also evaluates your model to tell you the quality of the data source and the settings of your model. When you have your model, you can use it in two ways. You can create a batch prediction. Batch prediction will answer your question based on specific dataset. So, if you want to have your question answers for a lot of people, you don't have to call machine learning one by one for each of them. You can just upload your dataset and generate a batch prediction. The machine learning will answer the question for every element in your file and store the result in S3. If your application requires real-time predictions, you can create a real-time endpoint. If you just want to try real-time predictions, there is a button for that, which allows you to generate a real-time prediction without actually creating the endpoint, as creating the real-time endpoint will create a charge on your bill for every hour that the endpoint is available. This model is the model which answers the question yes or no based on the previous answer of the user to a marketing campaign. To generate the prediction, you are asked to provide values for all the other fields in your data. You don't have to provide all of the values, but the more values you provide, the more accurate the response will be. So let's ask, what is the likely answer from a person who's aged 50 and works at the management position? The model predicted that the most likely answer is no. As I mentioned before, I also have another model created from the same data, which focuses on the job of the person. Let's try a real-time prediction from this. Assuming that the person is 22 years old, we receive the answer on what's the most likely job that they will have. As you will see, there's about 10% chance they will work in an administrative position and 7% chance there will be an entrepreneur.